Got it. And tonight, the crew of Covered in Film, Russ and Ben, we do movie reviews that take about 10 minutes. We'll be covering a movie
Stretch it out.
about a movie about a boy and his dad.
Right? No,
2000
clones. I think they're clones. I would say these are
no.
how many movies have actual clones in it?
That
We'll
well,
dive into that later.
does cloning exist? If it does, Ben is right. But
Yeah, these
2001's
guys.
Movie Choice Award winner, Spy Game.
Is it movie choice? Who like Kids Choice, MTV Movie Awards? Who? What are you talking about there?
I just made that award up. It's something given by me.
Okay, all right. Good to know. Good to know. All right. I get you're. It's
So
America.
yeah, it is America. You can make up anything you want here, and it
That's
generally
right.
is better than other countries' real stuff. Um, so if you haven't seen this movie, and I feel like this movie kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people, this movie is about
A little
Brad
bit.
Pitt. Brad Pitt. Ever heard of him? He
No, who's that guy?
let me tell you, he
Oh, he's the
joins the
guy from Bullet
military.
Train.
Bullet Train.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's also in Troy, two of the best movies of all time. Um, he joins the military, and then his dad, Robert Redford, scoops him up to do special missions for the CIA because he likes his style. And
But
then
not
Brad
his dad
Pitt,
in the movie, his dad in real life.
I think it's
Just
both.
clarifying. He's his dad in the movie?
Yeah,
I didn't get that. I didn't get that undertone. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
part of the movie. And then Brad Pitt likes a girl, and he quits his
Hmm.
job in the CIA because he's mad at his dad. And then his dad punishes him by putting the girl in a Chinese prison. So Brad Pitt tries to get her out, but he ends up in prison too. And then it's all up to Brad Pitt's dad to rescue them both. But he has to
He ends
outsmart
up looking like
America.
Jared Leto from Fight Club, dude. By the end, he looks like Jared Leto from Fight Club after Edward Norton wants to destroy something beautiful. That chopper ride home, I was looking at that makeup like they really went for it. He just
Yeah,
needs to
his
be much
eyes
more
were.
swollen. Yeah.
Speaking of Fight Club, the whole beginning of this movie has the same soundtrack.
No, it
And
doesn't.
like the very end. Hey, you got to watch it again then. It's very Fight
I
Clubby.
I can I can give you an almost certainty that that will not happen. I will not watch this movie again.
Well, before you rate it, what do you think about Brad Pitt's relationship with his dad?
I mean, I hope they talk. I hope that they're still in touch. Um, I feel like you look at Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he is the age Redford was maybe in this movie, maybe
Maybe.
within a decade. Within a decade, yeah. Redford now kind of looks like a rawhide wallet. Um,
It's been
I
opened a lot.
a lot. Yeah, like rub some lotion on there, bro.
His
All
mouth
is
is
lost. Seen
caving
it?
in like a butthole.
Dude, he looked
Anyways,
so gray in the scene like early on when it's supposed to be young Redford. I was like, he is fucking dead. Why does Redford who did the makeup in this scene? He looks dead. Uh yeah, I hope they've got a good relationship. Did
on
you know
that
Brad
note,
Pitt's from Oklahoma?
well, that's where Robert Redford grew up and raised his kids, so that
Yeah,
makes
that
sense
makes
to
sense,
me.
I guess. Yeah. You got it.
Um, any other father-son acting duos that you think do a better job than Brad Pitt and Robert Redford?
Dude, I was trying to think of who are two actors who are more similar that have been in movies together, and I don't think I can come up with it. Like these two guys, I for Brad Pitt has almost the exact same number of movie credits as Robert Redford does. So that means he'll surpass his dad one day. So, I would say that's good parenting. You want your child to exceed your accomplishments a little bit, unless you're, Henry VIII or something. And then, well, no, Henry VIII really wanted a successor, but too bad for him.
Kind of like Miley Cyrus and Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah, I think Billy
He
Ray
let her
Cyrus
have
is
it.
probably proud to a point of Miley Cyrus's achievements. Like Billy Ray Cyrus probably still known as a one-hit wonder and the dad of Hannah Montana. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Miley Cyrus did Wrecking Ball, which masterpiece. Chef's kiss.
So yeah, there's no other ones, right? Nobody even
I
comes
don't think
close to
so.
these two.
Like I want to make a joke about Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson. Not even fucking close. Not even close. Uh Like, yeah, no, I cannot think of another set of father son that is even remotely close to these two.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Our 10 minutes are up, but Brad Pitt and Robert Redford really bring it together. No, why don't you rate this film? What would you give it on a to 10 or a B?
8 to 10. I'm gonna go B7 and sink your battleship, biatch. Spy game, more like spy lame. Am I right? Um, Charlotte Rampling's in this movie. She's a spy dame. Uh, There's no English chips in it, or else they would call it a fry game. All right. I don't know. It's funny. Tony Scott. I see Tony Scott directs it, and I'm all, oh, it's a Tony Scott movie, so I'm gonna expect a couple things from it. And I'm like, why does he have this 8:02 a.m. 24 hours to execution? Like that's a weird little cut to throw that black and white still in, and I keep watching, and eventually I'm like, oh shit, it's fucking Tony Scott. Now this makes sense. All the weird cuts, the helicopter circling the rooftop conversation. I'm like, who thought this was a good idea? Oh, Tony Scott thought this was a good idea. Thought it was such a good idea. He paid out of pocket because they said they wouldn't give him extra money to rent a helicopter to shoot this scene on the roof from a heli. So he paid out of pocket. Uh, that being said, I feel like it moves a little slow. I saw a quote that Tony Scott said it's like a James Bond film, and I thought, how many ways is he wrong? We'll get into that, I think. We'll get into that. But it's a little slow. It's an interesting story. I think it's a little disjointed. He didn't know how to shoot those boardroom scenes where Redford's being interrogated very nicely by Stannis Baratheon. I mean, he stands up to the Baratheons, so that's commendable. But yeah, I don't know. I'd probably give it. I'll give it a solid C. It's got some pedigree. It's got some stuff. It's got Charlotte Rampling on the screen for probably 2 minutes, and it's pretty great. But other than that, I don't know. There are many better spy movies and Tony Scott movies. Man on
You
Fire. All
gave it
right,
a
go ahead.
C, you said?
I'll give it a
A
solid
C.
C. It's average. Some people would like this movie. Some people will probably agree with me that it's just a little too slow. If I'm going to watch a spy thriller, I mean, Casino Royale is like sets the bar. Here's a spy fucking movie is Casino Royale.
The new one.
Anything either goes above or beyond, below that. And this one, unfortunately, below.
Blow was another movie that came out this year.
Below
Fun
was
fact. Yep.
not a spy movie, but a great movie. Love that movie. R.I.P. Paul Rubens. Great in that.
R.I.P.
Great in Blow.
to the D. Tony Scott. Every time you say his name, all I can think of is Iron Man. Anyways, I give this movie a B.
It's Tony Stark.
I know, but
All right.
I gave it a B.
B. Go ahead.
I've seen this movie quite a few times. I can remember the first person who shared it with me. It was at Tristan's house. Tristan, I hope you're enjoying life somewhere.
My
Back
daughter's
when I
husband?
was, huh?
My daughter's husband?
Nope.
You haven't known him for that long, and I bet you he's never seen this movie. You're a fucking liar.
No, he would have been like 4 when I was watching this. Something like that.
Priscilla was born this year, so no.
Well, I
Anyway,
watched it when I was in high school, so yeah, he was probably like 2. Anyways, but I've watched it quite a few times. It never seems to get old for me. It's like just a good kind of like, oh, how's he gonna do it movie, and I always kind of forget quite a few pieces, and then when I watch it, it comes together, and I find that I introduce it to a lot of people, and everyone but you seems to like it, you asshole.
I
So
don't know. I'm either ruined by the fast pace of modern movies, or I just didn't find it kinetic enough. The ending where he starts to put together the fake operation, that's good. I really love the finally he's getting it together and figuring out what he's going to have to do. One of the things I find the most like clunky is he gets that story out, right? And they talk about, oh, Bishop's been found, espionage. He blows the lid off this thing. And then they get the guy to go back on screen and do a news story about how that was a planted story from a Chinese person. Like, have you ever seen that on the news? That would come out 3 days later and they would bury it right in between two feature stories. Like, they don't get on the news. Breaking news. We just lied about a story we told. That shit doesn't happen.
I don't know, but they had to make it all happen within 24 hours because it was his last day of work,
Sure did.
which was an
Sure
important
did.
piece of the story. So,
Yep. True
anyways,
that.
other spy movies or similar movies. Do you have a favorite before I even list any?
I mean, there's so many, but I would rather go off of your list and maybe say,
I guess you'd
above or
say Casino
below.
Royale, right? Because it sets the bar.
I think, come on, when you watch Casino Royale, is that movie not have really great intrigue, phenomenal action scenes? Like, that movie's got a lot of really great bits to it, and it's super long and doesn't drag for most of it. I find that to be that sets
I
the bar.
agree. When Daniel Craig, before he got that role, I always kind of liked him, but wasn't really sure how good he could do. And in the first 10 minutes of that movie, he fights some dude in a bathroom and like kills him in a toilet. And
Mm-hmm.
then he does the parkour scene, but he can't
Mm-hmm.
parkour like the other guy. So he just
Right.
runs through drywall and shit.
Right.
And it's so
Right.
cool. It's
Right.
the coolest.
The the not coolest thing about that movie, and the only real downside, is when he tortures him in the chair with no seat, and there is the idea that he would walk for at I mean, you you might not even remember that scene, but that guy is not moving after he's hitting him with this fucking sock full of rocks right in the balls. Like,
It's
there's no way.
such a weird torture. Like, I honestly don't think it'd be a good
So
form of
rough.
torture
It's so
because
rough, dude.
you
Oh,
know that he's like not
it's
interested in having
uncomfortable
kids at
just
that
thinking
point
about
or
him.
anything.
Ever, ever, ever.
But
His dude, he's gonna be so swollen. There's no way he's gonna be able to walk or run for weeks. Anyway, we're not talking about Casino Royale and your balls getting shredded.
I would probably agree just based on my list. I did put like Charlie Wilson's War movies like that or Argo are a little more akin to this movie, but
See, and Argo hit the button, right? Didn't we do Argo? We did Argo.
yeah,
Uh,
it was a weird
not
watch.
as
That one surprised me.
Right, not as spy movie, but has that kind of from the one side where things are safe but they're trying to get people moved to the other side where it's not safe at all and everything's dangerous. Like, yeah, it's got similarities to Argo. I would agree. Charlie Wilson's War. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, that movie's good.
But
Hit the
I think,
button.
really when you think of spy movies, you think of the Bond series, you think of the Bourne series, things like the Kingsman, that kind of stuff.
That's
Um,
become big, and the Kingsman's very, very frantic, very fast moving. The second one not so great, and I think the third one is like I don't like the people involved in the making of that movie. Like that did not need to be a movie. It's awful. But anyway,
well, True Lies and Swordfish, you think those belong in the same category?
so I've never finished Swordfish, but True Lies I've seen multiple times, and I thought that was a phenomenal movie. Phenomenal
How
movie.
how far did you get in Swordfish though? Did you get
I couldn't even remember. I have probably seen only scenes from it and never watched the whole thing. That's one of those when the internet was coming out and you could just see pieces of a movie. There are specific pieces of that movie that most people have watched. One scene in particular, I would say.
it's the one it's like a really interesting newspaper article that Halle Berry's reading.
That's right.
Everyone wants to see the newspaper.
That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably give it to Casino Royale too. I really
Yeah.
like the Bourne series quite a bit. I think they should have stopped after 3. I give them a really good runner up. Um Probably any of the first 3 Bournes were just great.
Yeah. And
But
I don't, I've seen the first one and don't remember it at all. So I never kept up with the Bourne.
it's really good. I feel like he was doing the shit um that like Daniel Craig brings to James Bond, because up until Daniel Craig, James Bond was really gadgety and like almost,
Cheesy.
yeah, it was
Cheesy, very
cheesy. You
tongue
couldn't
in
It was
cheek.
hard
Yeah,
to take
the humor was
serious.
very tongue in cheek.
Whereas Jason Bourne was very much like getting the shit kicked out of him, walking with broken legs. He's got bullets in his back. He's like fighting dudes with a pen, and you see him stab a dude with the pen and the guy pulls the pen out of his hand. Like it's hardcore in comparison. And then Daniel Craig comes along and like really elegantly blends just a couple gadgets and some nice backing of financial, what money can do,
Yeah,
but is
and Eva
gritty
Green.
and real.
hmm Right.
But
Yeah.
hey, it's other 2001 movies. One
Oh,
we got to throw out in particular, Black Hawk Down, came out this year, was
directed by
directed
his
by
brother
his
Ridley Scott.
brother.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
and
I
it
didn't look
can't
it up.
be it can't be glanced over. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. It can't be glanced over. 2001. It is pre-September movies and post-September movies. There is a definite worldwide event in 2001 that changes everybody's perception. It's the modern day Kennedy assassination. Uh, this year changes people.
I mean, I'd say it's much worse than the Kennedy assassination.
I mean, yeah, but I'm saying for the scar in the world psyche, especially America. We can just say America, but the world watched it happen. Like '01 really shit went down. And
Yeah.
you had movies that were leading up, and then all of a sudden it was, oh, we can't release Big Trouble, this Tim Allen fucking jokey, ridiculous movie, because there's a scene with a bomb on a plane. That's got to wait 2 years to get released because everybody's too raw. Like the fact that they got Black Hawk Down out really tells you we didn't know where we were going at the end of that year.
Yeah. Yeah, way to be heavy. Um,
Yeah, you're welcome.
I don't know what happened that year. I mean, other than the thing you're talking about, but both this movie and Black Hawk Down, Ridley and Tony Scott dedicated the movies to their mother. So I'm
Hmm.
not sure if she like died that year or something, but
Probably
some
pretty close
other
to it. Yeah, that's my guess.
2001 movies that I thought were probably like the pinnacle of things to talk about other than Hawk Down. A Beautiful Mind. Click the link. It won Best Picture, and we've
Don't
reviewed it.
bother. Uh huh.
I mean, it was great. Ben's just
No, watch our show. Don't watch the movie.
yes, that's what I meant. It's great. Um, Zoolander. That kind
Sorry,
of
Ron
changed
Howard.
the world for a minute, right?
I mean, I remember watching that movie for the first time, and I'm like, this is so. It's the same thing with Anchorman, honestly. I was like, I don't know if I can enjoy this movie. And then they get into the newsman fight, and I'm like, oh, I fucking get it. I get it. This movie is absolute genius. When they do the gas fight, when
Yes,
in
and
Zoolander,
it's
I'm
just
like,
play fighting.
yeah, this is the scene that's setting the tone for this movie. It took a little while to get there, but yeah, I get it now.
I
He's
mean,
so hot, Hansel.
there's
He's so
still
hot right now.
there's still stuff in that movie that I quote. I think the most common one is probably what is this? A center for ants,
Yeah,
and
right.
like it'll have to be 3 times this size at least. Uh,
And David Duchovny has the glass bubble around his hand, and then he breaks it. Oh
dude,
my
David
god!
Duchovny. David Duchovny.
Uh,
Piece of trivia about this movie. The scene where Robert Redford intentionally leaves the cigarettes on the desk and then says like, "Oh, I forgot my smokes," and the dude goes
right,
back to get them for him. The brand of those cigarettes is called Morley,
right,
and they're a fake brand that only exists on the X-Files show.
right.
Kind of interesting.
Yes, isn't that is interesting. What can you name any other fake brands of cigarettes that I always love Red Apple from Tarantino movies. He's got the Red
Yeah,
Apple brand.
that's
I
the
think
only
fake
one.
brands of cigarettes are kind of funny. What something has coffin nails. There's a movie that has coffin nails as a brand.
That's a awesome.
Anyway,
That's
fun.
an awesome
Love that
cigarette
stuff.
brand name. Um, Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. I feel like
Oh, fuck
gotta
yeah.
throw that one out there because you're gonna want to say quite a bit about it. What does that
I
movie
mean, I
mean to
watched it
you?
in the theaters more than once. Will Ferrell as the explaining about the labia, the liberate apes before imprisoning apes movement, the labia. Dude, that's Kevin Smith. I can't believe we tried to do Dogma on this show, and it turns out we would all have to own it, which I think I'm the only one who does. But I thought today, literally today, I thought I think I need to pick Mallrats for our next movie because his first four, maybe five, but definitely four films were so great, with the exception of Chasing Amy, which in retrospect I think is kind of dog shit. But Clerks, Mallrats, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, so good, so fucking funny.
Yeah, were those his first four? Those in Chasing Amy?
And Chasing Amy was number three. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought Chasing Amy was a good movie. It's just very different from his style.
it's the the gentrification, the ones the that's my favorite part of that movie. The rest, I find that to be an absolute ridiculous premise, other than some of the other shit. But the overall premise of it, I find to be not great. Not great.
It's the one I've watched the least. I think I've watched it only one time actually. but people
Yeah,
talked about it, said good things,
they
and I
did.
watched it and I was like,
They did.
okay, I see what they're saying. Um,
Yeah, I liked it at first, but I don't know. Over time, I was a really staunch Kevin Smith. I saw Mallrats in the movie theaters. That shit was only in the theaters for 2 weeks. I saw it opening weekend. Like I was a Kevin Smith fanatic for a while, but
do
Chasing
you
Amy, I found
do you
just didn't do
think
it.
that if Kevin Smith wrote a Batman movie, that it would be the Batman best Batman movie of all time? Would it beat
No,
out
not
Dark Knight?
anymore. Not anymore.
No,
Oh no, there is no defeating Dark Knight. There, you
no,
cannot.
you
In my
can't.
opinion, you cannot.
I think it is the Casino Royale of comic book movies. It
I think
is,
it's the best comic book movie ever made.
yeah, and I can't see something being better.
No, absolutely not. Watchmen got close, but also Watchmen has that factor of just I feel like when I heard it was coming out, I've been waiting 20 plus years to see this movie on the big screen. Like I better live to make sure I go to the movies and see this. uh, Dark Knight was literally like, here's what I hope they open with. And then it was almost exactly done that way. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, incredible movie. Hey, another one from 2001 that was important because it's one of the longest movie franchises I've ever been aware of. Fast and the Furious came out this year, the first one.
Oh, the first one?
Can you
And I feel
like
like that's an anomaly. That's such a
yeah,
crazy,
like
it
why? Why
boggles the
did that
mind.
one? Why did it blow up so much? It's just Vin
Because
Diesel
family is
driving a
everything.
car. I know,
Yeah, and
family
Paul
is everything.
Walker. And
I know.
honestly, although
Re-
it may sound
Rest in
callous to
peace.
say, like Paul Walker's death probably helped to create an even more tight fan base for that movie. Uh,
Probably.
but I mean, I don't. Yeah, I feel like Paul Walker was a really fucking awesome dude. But anyway, let's not get into that. I'm tearing up. Uh, yeah, I don't. I don't fucking get it. Like you watch the Fast and the Furious 5 when they're towing a safe down the street. It's like, how many people are you killing with this fucking you they kill so many people and they just don't show it. It's like there's no way you're making it through unscathed as these people are just reckless. Hobbs and Shaw though, kind of a good movie.
Was it?
Dude,
Uh
it was definitely entertaining.
it was like
Definitely
on the same
entertaining.
level. One of the best parts about Hobbs and Shaw though is just seeing them take the rock and go, let's introduce the Rock's family on TV. And like
Right.
it's gonna be all Samoan, just
Yep.
big people. And for some reason, they are going to have to fight in hand-to-hand combat against a
Right.
bunch of gangsters.
Right.
And
It's modern day. I mean, they can have automatic weapons, but no, these guys, yeah. It's so ridiculous. The podcast, How Did This Get Made, definitely helped me to stop being like these movies are trash and start embracing them as like mind candy. It's like, oh, I can just watch this and be like, this it's so fun. It makes me laugh. Yeah.
I I think that the next movie I'm gonna say is the best movie of 2001, and I think it should have won Best Picture. Training Day. Would you agree?
You know, I feel like I can't believe number one, we haven't done training day on this show. It just goes to show you that we're a bunch of fucking pussies. That we haven't done training day on this show. That movie is like a an anxiety attack on film. When I watch it, I'm it reminds me of I reference it every now and then when I saw Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas on the big screen Every time Benicio del Toro's on the screen, I tensed up and was like, I don't know what this fucking guy's going to do next, but I know he is absolutely insane. Uh, Training Day makes me feel the same way a lot, but it's really well written. I watched a big chunk of it a few months ago. Really great. And yeah, I feel like Ethan Hawke and Denzel probably were best actors that. And Scott Glenn, honestly, great in that. When I and Lim's in it from The Shield, right? He's one of the dudes. Anyway, Training Day, great movie. Great movie. But you know what should have won Best Picture is Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings, which came out in this year and was amazing and lost to A Beautiful Fucking Mind. And it's bullshit.
I mean, but I guess I would agree with you there because yeah, I think I would agree on multiple levels. Not only does that movie mean the most to me personally, but I do think it's actually the best movie that we've talked about.
I mean,
But
come on, dude. That
but
movie is like 100 years in the making almost. Like fucking anyway.
but it's easy to be okay with that one not winning Best Picture because Return of the King won Best Everything when it came out.
But was not the best Lord of the Rings movie. So
No, it was
anyway,
not. It was not.
anyway, it was not.
Fellowship of the
It
Ring
just
is the
wasn't.
best Lord of the Rings movie. You guys have heard it here.
Oh,
I
I
know
don't know.
Ben's favorite is the second one, but he's
You
wrong.
know, I don't know. The more I've seen them, the first one has definitely the most to it. It's phenomenal. The Two Towers
Dude,
extended edition has some of my favorite stuff. I like the Hobbit smoking weed at the end in the flooded storeroom. I
they
think
make
that's
salted pork look so good,
yeah, right, right.
which
Good
has got to
stuff. Lord of
taste
the
awful.
Rings.
Just salty
Let's do
pork.
those
Ugh.
again. We should do the re-ring.
Just you and me, let's do it. I could I
Mm-hmm.
could kill. But I do for me the first one of those just that is a group getting together. And just
Mm-hmm.
you would hope every campaign you ever get to play gets to be like that. You know? Gandalf.
That's. I was working at Blockbuster at the time when that came out. I saw it in the theaters, and I know because I'm a nerd and I have watched the animated Lord of the Rings for my entire life and I know the story. It was only until I was 20, 20 when I finally read the books. But anyway, uh, I knew that that movie was going to end with the breaking of the Fellowship. It's called the Fellowship of the Rings. The ending of that movie is going to be the Fellowship. So it was perversely satisfying to see all the people who would come in with this two movie DVD and be like, you guys gave me the wrong discs. There's no ending to this movie. And be like, no, it sure is. Go back to the theaters in a year and you'll see the next part. There's three total. And people would just get pissed as you're explaining to them, like, no, you watched the movie. I loved it. I loved it. Much different than my experience with Apocalypto, where it was like, you fucking Philistine. Yeah, you should have just enjoyed the subtitles, you dumb son of a bitch.
Which
Anyway.
really takes up like 5 minutes of your time in that movie.
Yep. Yep.
They don't even say jack shit in that.
No.
All right, director Tony Scott. What's his best movie to you? Do you need some hints or
Man
do
on
you got
Fire. Man on Fire. There's
it?
no 100%.
No,
True Romance is great. It's really close. I've seen Days of Thunder many times. If Joe was here, we could go off on a Days of Thunder trip. We both love that movie and just geeked out over it at the same time in life. Uh, Last Boy Scout, but I would say commercially, honestly, fucking Top Gun wrote that guy's rest of his career. He directed Top Gun. Like, what else do you need to say? And the Kenny Loggins video for Danger Zone. So right there.
I would agree with you. It's Man on Fire, but have you watched it recently? I feel like I told you this because I watched it
No, I want to
this
watch it
year.
again.
I think I watched it this year. Uh, Denzel Washington's pants are so big in it, the whole time, and I'm just like, this movie's so fucking 90s.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Yeah, I
um,
want to watch
it
it again though. Honestly,
he does alcoholism pretty well, and
he does, which
just
makes you wonder. Have you seen Flight?
yeah,
You've seen Flight.
I actually
I
think
feel
he's
like
better
that's
in that.
Yeah, I feel like that's the pinnacle of alcoholic movie almost. And Barfly with Mickey Rourke is pretty rough and does a really good portrait, but Flight really dives in. Like you don't expect it. You don't expect it. It's no Sully. Anyway, go ahead.
Wait, what was the one that we watched on this show for? It was one that Kelly recommended.
He won't get far on foot.
That movie was probably,
Phenomenal.
yeah, and I would say, as far as, well, and fucking My Left Foot, the foot movies are all about being an alcoholic. Um those were pretty intense too. I would say I don't know, Flight was just great on a specific level of like, it's kind of like watching someone I know, you also know them, fly a plane. Um
Right. Right. So I inverted the bird. All right.
Anyways, yeah, Man on Fire. I think Deja Vu was incredible though. Um, I really enjoyed it, and
My favorite.
yeah,
Beverly
true.
Hills Cop 2.
I mean, I enjoy the Beverly Hills Cop movies, but
I'm burning doing the neutron dance. I'll tell you what.
tell you what. Okay, so the actors, Robert Redford, he plays the dad in this movie. Um, he's kind of known for. What do you think his best movie is? You want me to throw
All
some
right,
movies
now,
out there for reference?
no, I got some. I got some. Don't even trip. Uh, I found it really interesting when I was doing a little look into Redford that he was in a ton of TV, which wasn't my era. And then Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid really put him as like, oh, he's a fucking star. Of course, Newman's in that, and them together was like, that's like Pitt and Damon or Pitt and Clooney in the Ocean's movies, which not my favorite, but really kind of sets the bar for like star power on screen. Uh, his best movie, I watched All the President's Men recently again. That's a really great fucking movie. It's older, it's about breaking Watergate, but the story is so rich in there. I remember my mom loved Out of Africa, him and Meryl Streep. I don't remember the movie much, but I do remember in the 80s seeing Legal Eagles more than once, and I feel like it probably was a shitty movie, but Sneakers, I saw Sneakers twice in the theaters back when they used to have a dollar movie theater in Fairfield and you could go watch two movies for a buck. Like I saw Sneakers more than once there. That movie is a lot of fun. David Strathairn, Sidney Poitier, like Sneakers is a fun fucking movie. But Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and The Natural. I grew up on The Natural. When my
The
dad was still
Natural's a
around, there
great
was a
one.
lot of The Natural. I own it. I don't think I've ever opened my DVD copy, but I've still got it.
So which one is
Stolen
it?
from Blockbuster. Uh, that's his greatest. I find Newman in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid to be even better. I honestly, I don't know. He finally got into Marvel movies. Maybe that's his best role. It's not.
Hey,
No.
but come on, Ant-Man was a really good movie. And he is he in it? Is he the bad guy in it? Or the guy at
No, he's
the
not the bad guy, but he's a
not
guy that runs in with Hank Pym earlier. He's much more involved in
he's
like
not a
the
good
actual
guy.
Avengers shit. No, he's not a good guy. He's a crony for the military.
Yeah. Yeah. I think his
Yeah.
best I think his best movie is All Is Lost. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
See, do you? Yeah, I saw it. And I found, I don't know. It wasn't that good. You thought
The
it was that
thing the
good?
thing that's hard to like say it's his best is how much talking do you do? Like he doesn't say anything in like the entire movie. And so it's hard to say that that's his best, but he's the only thing in the movie, and I just think that it really captures life at sea and going through hardship
Hitting a shipping container would suck.
going through
No
hardship
doubt.
on both the like the physical hardship but the emotional hardship, and I think he represents it really well. And
Well,
honestly, like some of it was more realistic to me than Castaway was. And Castaway is,
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, well, I Castaway is a Robert Zemeckis film, so it's made to entertain, and it's got Tom Hanks, so it's watching your dad on the screen. But Robert Redford is Brad Pitt's dad, so it's a much different audience. Like you got to be raised in Oklahoma and just crush pussy nonstop in order to really think that this guy. Damn it!
It's
I almost got to go through it and be serious. Almost. Yeah,
almost.
All Is Lost was good. It
I
was
think
all
this is
right.
just
I
like
don't know. I didn't find it packed the punch I was looking for.
a personal favorite, but I think what most people would probably agree on would be All the President's Men. Great
Yeah,
movie,
no,
and
that like I said, I watched it just on a whim, threw it on, like within the last month, and was like, "Holy fuck, this movie is really good! Just phenomenal acting, solid story, really interesting." Yeah,
let's move on to Brad Pitt, who plays the son in this movie. Um,
Brad Pitt, son, clone, whatever you
so
want to call him.
I know you don't know them all, so I'm going to throw out a few movies that you might know that
Yeah,
he
he's been in more than
plays.
one.
Yeah.
Thought this
So
was his only movie.
he's in this movie. He's also in
Oh,
Troy,
Bullet
which I
Train.
said before. He's in
Right, Troy.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith,
Ugh, hate it.
Meet Joe Black,
Ugh, what are
and
you? Why are you naming the worst movies?
Happy Feet. He is
Happy Feet
just
2.
he's probably one of the lesser known actors of our time. But when you kind of think about those movies, he's done some things with his life. But
Do
really
you
what he's
think?
known for is being Robert Redford's son.
Right, or clone, whatever you want to call it. Clone son. I'm pretty sure he's an actual clone though. The Island was actually about Redford getting Pitt made so that he could live forever. But uh do you think, serious question here, if you were to take a sampling of 2 million of the men in America, would there be a man they more wanted to hang out with than Brad Pitt?
Just like everyone.
Everyone. You take the average guy, group them all together, and be like, who's the dude you want to hang out with? I think
Tom
you get a
Hanks.
solid 65%. Why is Tom Hanks going to be interesting? He
Because
fucking collects
he's
typewriters and takes
incredible.
pictures of lone pieces of clothing on the street. He's not the hangout guy. But Brad Pitt, you're gonna be like, bro, tell me about crushing Jen Aniston. Let's go. You're gonna
And
have
Angelina
stories I
Jolie.
want to hear. And Angelina Jolie, much less interesting in my opinion, but whatever. There's plenty of people who are gonna disagree with me there. Yeah, Brad Pitt, Floyd from True Romance, another movie with
Oh, he's
Tony
in that
Scott.
movie?
Tony Scott directed. Yeah, he's fucking Floyd, dude. Fucking condescend me, man. That's one of my favorite. I know it's super early, and he's nothing but a stoner on a couch, but he's so fucking funny in that. Uh,
What else is he in?
I
That's
feel
that's
like
it, right?
what? That's it. All the movies?
That's all Brad Pitt's in.
No.
No,
In
what's
fact,
his
there's a
best
shit
movie?
ton.
What do you think his best movie is?
So here's where we get to the part where I say you can almost make the argument, much like this show has made the argument with Ben Stiller or other people that I can't think of right now, that he is the same guy in every movie. It's always just Brad Pitt in the movie. But I think when you take a sampling of, say, Seven, Moneyball, and where do I got other shit written down at?
Once Upon a Time in
Oh, yeah,
Hollywood.
Big Short. He's definitely not the same guy in every movie. Uh, I really love him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood when he starts smoking the acid dip cigarette before they get the Manson family. Dude, Quentin Tarantino just, God, he deserves something for making that movie. It's so well thought out as to like, here's a fairy tale about something, just tweak this one little thing, and here's this whole other story that changes the history of Hollywood. So smart. So smart. I don't know. He's been in so much shit, dude. He's been in so much shit.
I think my favorite role that he's done is Inglorious Bastards.
You know, it's funny. I ran out of space for notes. I told myself I would not go to a third page for this movie. I wouldn't do it. So he, unfortunately, I didn't get a whole list of movies, but as I was looking at his movies, I'm like, oh yeah, Aldo Raines. Like, love it. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. That's one of his best. One of
And
his
I feel like
best.
it's the one he had to like try the least when it came to acting. Just
Yep.
get your nutty hands off me.
That's right. I
Or
want my scalps.
Arrivederci.
Ah, so good.
He would be
So
a
good.
great
I don't know.
D&D character to play. Just a Nazi hater who can't talk.
Yeah, Aldo Raines. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah, Brad Pitt's definitely I think he deserves all the acclaim he gets. He was honestly really good in Bullet Train. Like Bullet Train can be argued whether or not it was a good movie, but he's really good in it. I can't believe you brought up Meet Joe Black. Were you just like, I'm gonna pick the shittiest Brad Pitt movies?
I
Yeah,
literally typed into Google worst Brad Pitt movies of all time. And Happy Feet came up. And I was like, I didn't
Happy
even know
Feet
he
and
was
Meet
in
Joe.
Happy Feet.
Yep,
But that's
yep,
going on the list.
yep.
Catherine McCormick, she plays the girlfriend.
She
That
does. How different does she look than Murren in Braveheart? To where you're like, she's fucking Murren in Braveheart. It's like the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, I almost recognize her, but I don't know, dude. I don't really recognize her. But yeah, that and 28 weeks later. Oh my god, when Robert
you
Carlyle fucking caves in her face. Fuck, dude. I wish I wouldn't have ever seen that movie so I didn't have that scene in my mind.
I mean, great movie. Very good movie.
It's
But
very good, very
that
scary, very
might
good.
be the most brutal thing I've ever seen in a movie.
It's like tender. It's so tender for a moment. And then his eyes go black, and it's like, ah, yeah, no, that's fucking rough. But yeah, I would say Braveheart for her, like Murren. She's
Yeah.
so perfect in that movie
Yeah, that's really she's only got those two movies other than this, so
for the most part.
um
But Charlotte
I would
Rampling,
agree.
I don't care who else you're going to talk about, Stannis Baratheon. But Charlotte Rampling, is it just me, or when she's on the screen, are you like, oh, Robert Redford, what are you going to do about this? You got to do something about this because this lady is fucking a knockout.
Have you have you looked at Google recently for what
No, no, she's an old lady now. She's been in movies since the fucking 50s, 60s, whatever. No, but in this movie, I'm like, she probably looks the best she's looked in a long time in that scene. Like she comes walking down that hallway, fucking beautiful.
that was
Way to go,
his
Charlotte Rampling.
he says that's his third wife, right? Or second wife? Third wife.
No, he is with his second or third, whatever. It's all bullshit. You find out later. But she's actually like she's an informant that he's trying to get info on, and then she
Oh,
tells him
she's on the
basically,
other side and she
that's
spills the
right.
beans that
Yeah. And they
we
think Brad
know
Pitt kills her
that
afterwards.
you're trying to move someone over.
Yep.
And then
Which
he
I thought
calls him and he's like,
I
it's
really thought
bingo.
when they talk about her getting killed later, I was like, you know, this movie could have benefited from a Munich like scene. Like when they kill the prostitute in Munich because she killed Syrian Hines. Like this movie could have used something like that where it was this retribution, but it's got to be ambiguous to whether Brad Pitt did it or not. So I get it. I get it.
Stephen Delane, he plays Stannis Baratheon.
Stannis
Um
Baratheon.
he's also in Darkest Hour, and he's the bad guy in
Was
that
Stannis
too.
Baratheon?
Well, yeah, he plays Stannis Baratheon in all his movies. Um, in fact, when he's on The Greatest Game Ever Played, it's really interesting when they're all trying to play baseball and he's trying to light women on fire to take over the realm.
His own fucking daughter, man. Come on. That
Yeah.
guy, oh god, dude. When Brienne fucking kills him, I was like, thank God this show gave me something. If it gives me nothing else, it gives me Brianna Tarth being like, you killed Renly, you killed your own daughter, die, motherfucker. Anyway, yeah.
Die, motherfucker.
I don't
Larry
know.
Brigman, he plays the other guy in the room. He's been on
Mm-hmm.
movies like Celebration and Hanky Panky. Anything
Right?
you want to say about him?
He's the guy who knew Redford before, right? He's kind of
Yeah.
his previous
No.
buddy.
He's not. He's not the one who, at the end of the movie, knows that he's only had one wife. He's the one kind of leading the whole.
Right,
Uh,
right. But he worked with him before.
yeah, he knew more than Stannis Baratheon did. Stannis Baratheon was the
Right,
asshole. This guy was like, "I'm not on your side, but I'm not an asshole."
right. And I looked him up. I was like, what? Where is he from? I know him specifically from a movie. And IMDb told me, and then I totally forgot. Maybe I've still got it pulled up. Two shakes
Dude,
of the
I have
lamb's
taken
tail.
notes
Oh
on
no! Somehow
something.
I looked up James. Or why did I look up James Taylor? Catherine.
You know him from Die Hard with a Vengeance.
What was that? I'm so sorry, I didn't hear you.
Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yep. Yep. Revengeance, very much. That's 100% where I know him from. God, I love that movie. Such a good fucking movie. Anyway,
That's a good one.
uh, yep, that's the one.
Uh, One other little piece of movie trivia about this: Brad Pitt turned down the role of Jason Bourne to play this movie,
Yep.
which ended up being a much bigger franchise to go to Matt Damon.
Yeah. Because Spy Game 2, nobody's talking about that movie.
Matt Damon. Do you have,
Man, Matt Damon.
other than Matt Damon, is there anything you would like to say about Spy Game before we close this 10-minute
The only
review?
thing my notes are all shit for this movie. I hate to say it, but except for the weird cut of throwing in Rocky Mountain Way, like to go to the Vietnam flashback, and then it plays it again over the credits. I don't know, fucking weird. Weird cuts in this. I feel like Tony Scott might have been doing a little bit too much coke, maybe if he did coke. Charlotte Rampling also in Dune, the recent Dune, is the Bene Gesserit. But beyond that, Benedict Wong is in this. Doesn't look super young, but
I
he's in Marvel movies now. He's like, it's like, dude, way to age well. Like Benedict Wong has aged better than Brad Pitt, and that's weird. But
I
way
thought
to go,
about
Benedict
mentioning
Wong.
him. I thought about mentioning him, but like, why?
Because he's Wong in the new movies. He's been in, dude. He was didn't we did The Martian, right? Hit the link.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
sure
yeah. I
we did
mean,
The
he's
Martian.
way
Yeah,
more
he's
prevalent in other movies, and
right. Yeah, he's
in
only
this
got a few
movie,
scenes in this movie.
he's not really anybody. The only reason he's in this movie is because China is in this movie, which
Well, I
is
mean, he's
racist.
with him in Vietnam. I mean, racist motherfucker. He's with him in Vietnam. It's I thought it was funny in the trivia they talk about the Vietnam scene they shot in the only lush area of Morocco they could find because most of this movie is shot in Morocco. And it's like, dude, you watch that and it's definitely not Vietnam. I find it funny that they called that Vietnam. Like, to me, that was a
One of
funny
the
little bit.
things that I had written down about this movie is it definitely shows its age. And movies that are like from the 90s or 80s that do this always show their age. In Vietnam, when that stupid helicopter is flying around and he shoots it in the side, when it just like touches the ground, it goes
And the
over a
big
little
ass
hill. And
explosion.
yeah,
Yeah, I wrote that down
that
too. Giant explosion. Yeah,
I think anything after the year like 97 stopped doing that, but
right. They were like,
this
let's
is
do a
not
throwback.
after that.
Yep. I thought it was interesting. There was a spinoff that was proposed that was going to be all about Benedict Wong, but he should have gotten hurt much worse when he got shot from that helicopter. They were going to call it Spy Mame, but ended up not going with it.
You know, it's funny when I said, never mind. I'll tell you on the after show. Like
All
and
right.
subscribe.
Yeah. Hit that
Um,
button. Smash that shit.
hey, before you turn it off, there's just one thing I want everyone to know, and it is Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.